Hello and welcome to Sawley Marina on the River Trent. You know, ever since I sold my boat 18 months ago, people have been saying to me, David, do you miss having a boat? And the answer is, well, I don't miss that boat specifically. I'm not sentimental like that, but I do miss being on the water. The trouble is, I can't afford even the cheapest, oldest, most projecty kind of steel narrowboat. However, I would like to have a boat of some kind, and fiberglass cruisers generally have a much lower entry point, so I'm considering my options. Ideally, I'd like a Wilderness Beaver Cub, and before any well-intentioned people start sending me links, it's specifically the Cub version I want, and they only made 7 of them, so there are very few around. However, while I wait for one of those to become available, I'm looking at other options.
And that includes much, much cheaper boating options, such as an older fiberglass cruiser, which you can pick up for peanuts compared to a steel narrowboat, and of course they don't rust. Yes, I am aware of fiberglass osmosis, but it's much less a concern than rust. And there's a huge variety of cruiser boats, from projects to sparkling new ones, with every kind on display at the marina. But I was here not to buy anything, but just for a nice day out, by invitation of a lady I follow on Instagram, who owns this ultra-compact day boat, a Micro Plus 502, and she told me what prompted her to buy it.
I got to a certain age, and I've always been, somebody that hasn't had really many hobbies as such, and I just thought to myself, what do I enjoy doing? And now I like gardening, I do like sewing, I like cooking, all them sort of things, but what's my real passion? And being a bit of a tomboy from when I was younger, I like the outdoors and adventure. I've always been one for looking at boats, and as I say, I got to a certain age and I thought to myself, I'm getting bored. I want something to liven my life back up and have a bit of zap in my life, I had a look on Facebook Marketplace and I happened to see a little orange boat, and I thought, that's quirky, because you don't see many orange boats on the water and they're normally white. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to have this boat. So I did. I had her. And I've never looked back since. Never ever looked back since.
Let's have a quick tour of the boat before we set off. Steering is by wheel, not a tiller, driving a small petrol outboard motor on the back. This can be easily accessed from the cockpit for adjusting the choke when starting, or a pull start if the electric doesn't work. A design detail I love is this pair of seats moulded into the rear fiberglass for passengers or luggage. There's a surprising amount of storage compartments for such a tiny space, and the petrol tank is under here. A cupboard to the side houses, in this case, a portable camping stove. Next to it is a further locker used for a cool box. And underneath the driver's seat, Sam stores her mugs and tea bags and so on. Sam had never had a boat before, and there was a lot to take in.
Definitely a lot to learn, and I was quite shocked to see that there was actually no sort of formal training with boating. Not like a car when you have to pass the test and everything. So I was quite lucky in the fact that the gentleman I bought it off, he didn't just take my money and run. Bless him. He came along and he helped me, and he brought the boat back from Normanton-on-Soar to Sawley, and obviously I was driving the boat, and he was doing the locks and things. But he went to the effort of drawing me diagrams and sort of showing me how to which way the engine goes and which way to turn it, and obviously putting the throttle into reverse for to slow you down, because boats don't have any brakes, and you do soon learn that very fast. Especially if it's a little bit breezy, shall we say, and you've got to come to terms and get to grips with that and know which way to turn the wheel to compensate it and everything.
This is really a day boat, but it does have a tiny little cabin. In there you find twin berths which are long enough to sleep on, and which Sam has decked out in a bright and cheery style. There's a hatch in the roof too, letting in lots of light.
There is no joy quite like the joy of poking your head out of a hatch.
To the port side is a tiny sink and cupboard under. Above it are bathroom essentials like a mirror and a bar of soap. To starboard is a worktop, and underneath is stored a tiny portable toilet. Above the worktop is a panel which gives access to the wires of the steering controls. The twin berths on either side have a filler for the middle to turn them into one giant bed, and your feet have space to go under the foredeck, so you really can stretch out even if you're tall. Helpfully, there's access to the bilge too, so you can check for water ingress. Dry as a bone here.
It is a very compact cabin, but it is delightful. Look, I've just got enough headroom to sit in here. I can imagine that on a dark and stormy night with the rain hammering down overhead, if I were in here wrapped up in a blanket or maybe in a nice warm duvet or sleeping bag, it would be an absolutely glorious place to spend a couple of nights. But being a compact space, you need to think quite intelligently about your entertainment solutions, which is why I would bring my iPad with the Readly app on it. And yes, I have mentioned Readly before, but I like Readly very much indeed, so I'm going to mention it again. If you've not come across it, Readly is a subscription service for which you pay a very, very reasonable monthly fee, and it gives you access to around 7,000 newspapers and magazines, and these are proper newspapers and magazines, not just some obscure stuff. It's the magazines you would find on the shelves of the newsagent, and they have literally taken those magazines and digitised them and put them on the device, so you can flick through with your finger as if you were flicking through the actual magazine. Start page to end page, it is the real deal. Now, I like canal boats, and on there they have Canal Boat magazine and Waterways World magazine and Towpath Talk, but I also like cars. They've got a whole slew of car magazines. If you're into railways, they've got rail magazines. If you're into airplanes, they've got airplane magazines, and if none of that takes your fancy, 7,000 titles. They've got the BBC Good Food magazine, they've got Woman's Weekly. Whatever takes your fancy, there will be something there. And for your monthly subscription, you've got the lot, as well as the archives. You can delve back years on some of these. I was reading some of my old articles in Waterways World from years ago. And if you are on a boat or in a camper van or a hotel or something where you might be somewhere obscure with bad internet reception, one of the other nifty features is you can download the editions you want before you go away. So say you are mooring up in the middle of the countryside, as long as you remember to do it, you have them on the device because it's pre-downloaded them. I've added certain magazines to my favourites, and it knows to download those copies when they are released. And of course it keeps up to date. It's not like it's months behind or something. When a new edition of Canal Boat comes out, it's on your device as well. Now, they are offering a 2-month free trial. You can cancel at any time. Do not worry about being locked in. Yes, you sign up with your details. 2 months free trial, which is plenty of time to have a look round at the whole library of stuff they've got. Do not worry. If it's not for you, you can cancel at any time, but you will find some stuff in there. Now, I don't know about you, but I like reading, but I don't have time to read books these days because they require just too much of my time. I can dip into magazines. They are perfect. And now I've got the Readly app on my phone as well. So say I'm at the dentist. You know, they used to have magazines at the dentist. Then we had the global pandemic. There's no magazines there anymore. Doesn't matter. I can whip my phone out and do a quick bit of reading while I wait to be seen. Or, as I say, if I'm on the boat, in the camper van, in the hotel, even at home, the fact that you've got them on your device means no more paper copies. You haven't got the physical thing to find somewhere to put, and you've got to worry about recycling it. It is better for the environment, if you already have a tablet, to download the magazines onto that. 2 months free trial, cancel anytime. I rave about it because I really like it. So go and have a quick look. There's a link in the video description.
Fortune had granted us the most wonderful weather that day, late in September, so Sam set about prepping the boat for travel. This starts with folding down the canopy, which is inherently comedic as it collapses onto whoever is doing the process. It's not elegant. Dogs Daisy and Duke on the boat next door watched in awe. With the canopy down, we were ready to start the engine. This requires the battery isolation keys to be inserted and turned, giving power to the outboard. It started immediately, and then Sam could turn down the choke to bring the engine to a gentle idle. Friends on the nearby pontoons were also invited to come along on their boats, so they got ready as well. The bow and stern lines were untied, and Sam backed us off the pontoon. Now we just had to navigate through the really rather large Sawley Marina to find the way out. "10-4, good buddy. Looks like we got ourselves a convoy." Ah, narrowboats. I will have one again one day. Although I might quite fancy living in one of these. Tank, I need an exit, fast! Oh, here it is. Well, that was easy. We're turning out onto the River Trent and heading downstream to Sawley Locks to start with. The locks are almost immediately ahead after you go past Derby Motorboat Club, established in 1938. At the locks, which are staffed by volunteers, we puttered to a halt while the lock was made ready for us. And then, as these locks are quite large, we all squeezed in at once. Roping round a bollard holds you steady as the water leaves the lock. Before long, the lower gates were opened and we could set off. The line was retrieved and off we went. A couple of narrowboats were waiting to go up. The Trent is quite a decent-sized river at this point. Our destination was a little cafe at Redhill Marina on the River Soar, which joins the Trent about a mile further on. And you can go a bit faster on the river than the canals, 8 miles an hour downstream. It's a nice location here because you have all these options of where to go.
I tell you what, sitting on these little seats at the back of the boat, passing along the Trent on a sunny day, this is perfection.
I must do a tour inside one of these converted lifeboats one day. That's Trent Valley Sailing Club, where my father used to sail when he was a student. We turn right before reaching the weir and go onto the River Soar. It really was the most splendid day. And here's the River Soar, which goes up through Leicester and ends up joining the Grand Union Canal. The nice thing about rivers is that you can moor some pretty substantial boats on them. I'd quite like a large Dutch barge. This is a stop lock, one that can be closed to prevent rising water levels on the Trent pushing upwards along the Soar. Just past it is Red Hill Marina, with the cafe we were going to stop at for lunch. Now that's a cute boat. And this one was for sale, but would need a lot of work. I had a good look. The only coal-fired power station left in the UK, according to Wikipedia. We paused for lunch, then pressed on a short distance. We were just going to the next lock, then turning around. The Swan thought we might have food, but it was disappointed and left in our wake. Once we turned at the lock, Sam made a very kind offer.
I'm having a go at steering, and it is such fun. I'm going to get me one of these.
Steering and filming at the same time, it was just like the old days. Except you really do notice how light fiberglass cruisers are in the wind. They jump around like a skittish kitty cat. I didn't crash, but it was a close run thing on a couple of occasions. I was encouraged to open up the throttle, and we had a 6-mile-an-hour race for 100 yards or so. Sam's Instagram feed shows clearly how much she loves her little boat and being on the water, and she explained, like so many boaters, how it's been transformative for her.
This is my happy place, and I think everybody should have one. I absolutely adore this boat, and I don't even have to take it off the mooring. I can just come here and have a hot chocolate or a drink and just sit and just enjoy the surroundings, and it's just so peaceful. And my passion for boating is the fact that, you know, everybody's in such a rush these days. You know, they've got no time for anything, no patience or anything. And to get off the rat run of the roads and everything, you know, just to come, and the maximum you can travel is 4 miles per hour. You get to see things that you don't see by road. You get to see things that are so beautiful, wildlife, nature, everything. It just, even from seeing, you know, when the sun's shining on the waters, it's like a glittery effect. But it's so peaceful. It's lovely. It's absolutely lovely. You don't need to spend lots of money. This boat cost me £3,500, and that to me, you know, was a really good investment. And I'm not going to sell it. No way. She's lovely. She'll become a classic with me. I'll become a classic too.
Back in Sawley Lock, the volunteer lockies saw us up safely. We headed back to the marina. It had been an excellent day, just lots of fun, nice people, a relaxing time, everything surely that recreational boating should be about.
I can highly recommend boating to anybody. My Instagram page is called the Midlife Cruisers, and I think to myself, well, yeah, it was a bit of a midlife crisis, I guess, but we all have them. And whether that's fast cars, having a new tattoo, or going on spectacular holidays, but mine was a boat. Don't think that because you're getting on a bit that you can't pursue it, because I'm proof here that if you enjoy something, just go out and do it, because life's way too short. Grab every opportunity that you can and just enjoy life. Enjoy the outdoors and take it all in, because there's nothing quite like it, I tell you. And once you've done it, you'll never ever go back, and you won't be sorry. You won't be sorry.